Welcome to the 100th Monkey Radio with Tom and Ramon. We are recording this on April 29th, 2014. And man, Ramon, I think I liked it. I did this for our live show here last week where I pulled a card and kind of set the tone of that show for that one we did last Saturday. And I kind of like the feeling of that. It felt right and it felt good. So I decided what I was going to start doing is kind of pull a card for the upcoming week. And this card is going to be for the week of May 4th. So I pulled a card and I pulled out the page of, the page of cups.
Nice.
And for those of you out there who are not familiar with tarot, the Page of Cups is actually a pretty pleasant card. So I think we're going to see, and I'm kind of directing this on to conscious levels. That's what I look at when I focus in on the cards and I'm shuffling and getting and working on pulling a card. Is I'm kind of focusing on basically the whole theme of our show, the collective consciousness, that 100th monkey effect. Where are we? And energetically, where is humanity in their growth process? And so the Page of Cups, that's a really interesting card for this next week, because it kind of says that we may be really pleasantly surprised by some things, some turns of events, and I kind of feel like that week there will be very conducive to communication. Those of us who have been actively pursuing and working on communicating with higher self, with guides, with loved ones, with friends and families on the conscious level, that this week will be very conducive to communication, and you'll probably find some very pleasant surprises out of that. So there you have it. Page of Cups for this next week.
Yay!
Yay!
I was recently told by a friend of mine's that he says that in the next around the next 10 years that we will the whole UFO disclosure will come out, but it will be disclosed from governments, but not the U.S. It'll be more like other smaller countries. Like Mexico came out with a bunch of stuff, and Brazil and Peru. England came out with a little bit of things. France came out with the Cometa report.
The thing about, excuse me, Ramon, sorry for butting in here, but the thing about all these countries that have, quote unquote, come out, they really haven't come out and said that it's a real phenomenon. All they've done is released their files on it, their investigation files on it, which is a little bit different than them standing up at the podium and saying UFOs are real. The alien visitation is real. We are being visited. I have yet to hear a government stand up and do something like that.
Well, not Mexico. The Cometa report pretty much says we don't know what it is, but it's real.
Right. It's still, they're not standing up there and saying it's real, though. So, I mean, it's awesome that these files and stuff are slowly but surely around the world coming out, but there's still a lack of courage in the hierarchy to somebody put their career on the line, so to say.
No, I would say the Mexican government did, because showing actual videos, no one else has done that. They show the military videos of the saucers.
Still, those are just case files.
No, that's not a case file. That's straight from the military, openly giving it. It wasn't like someone stole that.
I know. I know. I'm fully aware of how that came out.
But anyway, I think somebody would get tired and according to him, somebody was, some government's just gonna get tired and just come out very open. Yeah, I know we haven't had the smoking gun, if that's what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
well, that'd be awesome if one of them did, though. I mean, that'll be a milestone in this trek.
Yeah. But on another note, I had like this dream that I actually would like to share, where it was kind of like a somewhat timeline type of dream, where there were these type of chocolates that when you took one, you can jump different timelines, and not only jump different timelines, but you can go back in the past and change things, and also be able to see, if you looked at a person, for example, and they were planning to attack you, you can see all the different possibilities that they were going to do. And it was like almost like an aura around the person, and you can see all these different actions being taken. And it was like one of those really cool dreams that I wish I could have recorded.
You said a box of chocolates?
Yeah, it was these
Life
type of
is like a box of chocolates. You
it
never know
was
what you're
these
gonna
oh
get.
God, Tom. Yeah, so you had like these chocolates, and then what I did was I was trying to destroy the last chocolate because they were going to the past and changing certain things, and only people who've taken that chocolate were able to notice that something had shifted. Um, like they'll go back and then change something where me and you never met. So the radio show never happened. So only certain people were aware that that actually happened.
Right.
So yeah. Anyway, that was,
Interesting.
mm. So we have oh, just for those of you listening to us on other medias, you can listen to us. Go to the website www.thehundredthmonkeyradio.com, and you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, and telepathically. And this week we have an amazing guest, and she has like very beautiful energy, and you'll feel that once we allow her to start speaking, because we're just rambling on. So, Tom.
We have Aleya Dao with us tonight. Aleya is a sound healer, an energetic practitioner, and a minister in the state of California, a doctor of Oriental medicine in New Mexico, and a licensed acupuncturist in Colorado. She's been an alternative healer for 20 years. Aleya graduated from Lewis and Clark University in Portland, Oregon, and earned her master's degree in Oriental medicine from the Southwest Acupuncture School in Santa Fe, New Mexico. She practiced in Telluride, Colorado for 7 years before moving to Santa Barbara, California, where she serves an international clientele as a spiritual guide and sound healer. In 2001, Aleya had an enlightenment experience which enabled her to perceive other realms, hear the angelic beings, and increased her empathic and clairvoyant abilities. Aleya has mastered the ability to help people release the root causes of their suffering. Her tools help people discover how to move forward with greater peace, empowerment, and freedom. Each day, Aleya tunes into the energy coming into the planet and creates a guided meditation to email to clients all over the world. Her cups of consciousness meditations help guide, support, and attain increased clarity, balance, and joy each morning. In addition to her daily cups of consciousness, Aleya also hosts conference call sessions called the Tall Cups of Consciousness every 3 weeks. These sessions are live online so clients can listen and watch Aleya as she answers questions, teaches her unique protocols, and gives energetic weather forecasts. Aleya also guests on numerous radio shows, including the Shirley McClain Show, hosts many in-person classes and retreats, maintains a successful private practice, and has produced 5 commercial CDs: Awaken, Alming with Whales, Angelic Healing, Sound Medicine, and In Stillness. She recently signed with Sounds True for her Angelic Healing album. Her website is www.aleyadao.com. That's ALEYADAO.com. And Aleya, I'd like to give you a warm 100th Monkey welcome to our show.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Oh man, you've been a busy young lady. I'll tell you what.
Just a wee bit.
Yeah. So, little background on you. What kind of a path did you walk to get you into this area?
I think that I've always walked the path of the healer, but at the age of 6, I didn't know it. I was just laying on of hands and was a natural counselor. So I ended up going to boarding school, and people would just come to me and they would ask me to rub their ankles and tell me their woes and trials and tribulations. And then when I got to college, I started tuning into, I went to Portland, Oregon, Lewis and Clark in Portland, Oregon, which was definitely more alternative and open-minded than the East Coast where I'd been going to boarding school. And I sort of felt like I came into my own there and found communities and modalities that I really resonated with, and tried acupuncture for the first time. My family was not, they were fairly traditional in the way in which they approached life. Although when I was at camp, I learned how to meditate when I was like, I think I was 8 years old. I started to meditate. And so it's just always been within me, and it's just been a gentle progression. And I feel very blessed that I haven't had to search for what I am passionate about. It's just ebbed from within.
That's there's so many of us now, and even it seemed like it really escalated in the numbers in 2001 when all that crap happened in New York, and the tragedy, the 2x4 upside the head to our consciousness, so to say, that have put so many people on the path,
Yes.
to waking up. And I know for me, myself personally, it took a 2x4 upside my head to get me to wake up, which, back in the 80s. And it's amazing when we come across people who have this has been a life's work. It's been something that they've resonated with, or it becomes blaringly obvious to me, I guess I should say, that they're here for a specific purpose when you hear their life tale and how this has always been a part of your life. So I guess the question I'm getting out of this is do you feel and have you felt that this was a particular mission that you came in here and the plan was all laid out for you initially?
Yeah, I actually have memory that goes back quite a few years of preparing for this incarnation. And this life is definitely a mission. It's not a vacation. And I am here to serve a very particular purpose. And I get to choose how I do that. But basically, it's to assist in a gentle, graceful awakening as much as possible. We are going through an awakening, and the question is, how is that awakening going to happen over the next 100 years, 2,000 years? I really think of it more as a long-term experience that the planet is going through, Earth is going through this conscious awakening. And so everyone on the planet is experiencing that. And the question is, do we want to do it gently, gracefully, consciously, or do we want to be dragged by the seat of our pants?
Right. You hit on something that resonates with me very strongly, is that this is a gradual process. And I think one of the issues that I see, especially in the Western culture, is that we like that instant gratification.
Yes.
And if people don't get results out of something rapidly, they have a tendency to go off to something else, be distracted by something else,
Right.
And so I guess what I'm asking is what kind of hooks do you throw out there? Things that grab people initially, that somebody can use one of these practices or experience one of these meditations that you do or something, and get some results, relatively quickly, so that enough to feed the fire.
That's interesting. I mean, there's the whole marketing challenge, right? I'm an artist, and I would love to just sort of sit in my little Buddha bubble and record meditations and make beautiful music and never have to put the marketing hat on. And just people would naturally come to it. And sometimes they do. When I was running my business and starting the Cups of Consciousness, those daily meditations, and had absolutely not a penny to throw at marketing, I completely and totally angled the marketing in the higher realms, and I would sing to people up high, and I would send them these energetic meditations up high. And I actually got feedback from people saying that they were looking for something that would calm them, that would move them back into their center, that would bring them to greater peace. And they started hearing these angelic tones when they were walking around in the day or when they were falling asleep at night. And one woman actually even said to me, my guide said the name Aleya, and I went online and Googled it, and I found your website. And I was like, yay,
Wow.
My higher dimensional marketing's working.
Nice.
But basically, it's, I mean, if you're going to say it's a hook, we all want to move back into that connected, divine, empowered, peaceful, calm, loving state that every single one of us is. And so within 2 minutes, 3 minutes, there is a gentle, subtle shift of listening to the daily meditations, and then the more, and the music, and the more you do it, the stronger the energy fields get. It's sort of like going to the gym. You can't bench press 150 pounds on day one in the gym. The more you go, the stronger your energy fields get. And after a year, 2 years, 3 years, you stop being less reactive. You start being more compassionate. You start being more loving. You start holding a higher vibration. You start feeling better about yourself because you're reacting and responding more from your essence. So I would say that's the hook. There is the quick, instantaneous, oh, I feel better within a minute to 2 minutes after listening. But then if people want to take it further, they can then take the tools, use the tools as their own, and start shifting their life in the way in which they intend.
Right. It does ultimately boil down to each and every one of us responsibility to take it upon ourselves. Yeah. So
exactly,
there was,
doing the work. Mm-hmm.
There was something I had heard you talk about on another interview, and I think it's so important because it's so true for so many people. Especially those light workers or those people who are very conscious mind, who are trying to elevate their consciousness, that for a lot of them, they get so into this that they suffer economically. Mm-hmm. It almost seems like, well, if you're spiritual, you should be really broke. And we all know that that's not true. You can have both. But what is it, in your opinion, or what is it that we can do to move out of that mentality or move out of
that phenomenon?
Yeah.
Well, it's a little bit challenging, and it's, specific for each person. It's different for each person. But if we start to awaken and we realize that we're actually miserable at the job that we've been working at for 10 years, making $200,000, and we immediately have a meditation, and in the meditation we perceive that our guides say, quit your job and become a massage therapist. It's going to take 5 years to build a private practice. And so, do you want to start your private practice on the weekends while you're still making $200,000 at the job that you hate? Or are you willing to endure the discomfort, the financial discomfort, as you literally start a whole new career? And so there's that one sort of physical 3D reality. But I think the energetics of what you're talking about is what happens to us vibrationally when we start to explore the spiritual path, and why is it that sometimes when we start to explore the spiritual path, our finances start to dry up or the flow stops coming as quickly. And when we are completely and totally focused on our higher vibrational grids, it's like the energy roots that come in from above. All we want to do is meditate. We just want that divine connection. We want to connect with the guides. We want to be in the angelic realm. That's all up, 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 high, 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 high. And we're exploring those electrical grids. And those aren't, not from a scientific perspective, but I think of electrical as the energy that comes in from above. And then the magnetic is the energy that comes in from below. It's like our roots that extend from our waist and our hips, our legs, and go down into the heart of earth. And not very often in meditations do we spend as much time focusing on the roots. And the more that we are grounded and rooted, the more we will be supported in the world. I take a look at Oprah's magnetic root grids, and they are ginormous. They're just huge. And so she has this amazing ability to manifest. I'm sure she's got a couple of other things up her sleeve, but when we are exploring the spiritual path, it's important to connect in with the higher vibrational realms and our guides, but it's equally as important to increase those magnetics. And some of the things that people can do to increase the magnetics, their roots, their grounding, their support systems, is to sit on the earth, tone, take salt baths, exercise, garden, play music, engage in the arts, painting, clay, pottery, something that engages that very creative, grounded energy. The other thing that people can start doing when we do have that spiritual awakening and we so want to help the world, I have all of these gifts, I have all this wisdom, I want to help people. Well, the first thing we want to do is we want to start vibrationally receiving those gifts deep inside our own selves for our own selves, and that will act as a huge support resource magnetic draw.
So, we've had grounding is something that I think so many people don't really understand what is going on. I mean, at least that's the perception I get when I see some people say, I got to go get grounded. They'll go out and hug a tree, or they'll go out and do those things, and then they'll come in and complain about things like, oh, geez, I can't wait till we ascend. I'm so miserable here.
Right, their pain and their suffering is their grounding.
I'm like, hang on. From Tom's perspective, grounding to me is there's a certain element that has to be, for me, that I have to engage also, and that's my contentment with being on Earth. Mm-hmm. That's my and drawing up the joy and the bliss that the earth has to give in the process of, quote unquote, the grounding, while I'm out there barefoot working in my garden, that to me is when I really pull in the joy and the getting my hands in the dirt and just loving it and not wanting to ascend and get out of here. I don't want to, it's not, I'm here for a reason, and I'm not, I mean, it's, I don't know. I don't know if I have a question out of this, but
more a conversation about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just kind of frustrates me, I guess, when I do see people that proclaim or talk about grounding, and then in the next sentence talk about wanting to get out of here. So
I have it's a tiny little spin off of that, and it's the frustration factor of people that say one thing then are doing another, and that is when we get attached and desiring for another person's reality, instead of holding that attachment and that desire completely in our own core, then we go into the frustration, and then we're actually not showing the person what they could do. So you have this mastery of being able to ground and being totally in the present moment, totally content with exactly what is, whether you like it or not. And that is actually a very grounded state. And so the more we hold our attachment and our desire for just being in that, I really think of it more from the place of whenever anybody says anything, energetically they're asking for some information, especially if it annoys us. And so it's more like, well, why am I so annoyed? Well, I really want that person to be grounded and content with exactly what is. Oh, well, what would happen if I just bubbled that up inside myself and send that to them, and they get it if they want it, they don't if they don't. And then the frustration, the irritation with their behavior changes. So, but yeah, grounding, it's all about being present and really accepting exactly what is, whether we like it or not. And there's an interesting energetic phenomenon that when we accept exactly what is, it then starts to move. When people get really stuck in a very particular pattern, or why hasn't my beloved come, or why are my finances the way that it is, just doing literally 12 hours or 2 days or 3 days of acceptance of this is the way it is, I'm going to embrace the vibration of it, and then it starts to cycle through and change.
Yeah.
You know, that reminds me of something that Tom, you had said a while, I think last week's show, and it was true for me, where for me I had been through a bad breakup, and I said I'm done with women, and I'm not gonna, I'm just gonna fool around, and I'm not gonna worry about settling down, and then all of a sudden, I meet my wife, and it was just, I was surprised because I was done, and I don't want this to come out the wrong way. So at the time I was involved with someone, with a Japanese girl, and I was telling myself, that's it, no more Japanese girls. I'm done. And guess who I ended up marrying?
Her.
Not the same girl, but a different girl. But I like you're saying, that whole point where you're like, I'm fine with this, and Tom was telling a similar story where he was like, done with relationships and being fine being alone, and all of a sudden the same thing happens to both of us at different times.
Right.
That you meet someone.
It is that acceptance piece, and then it starts to move. Even like behaviors and habits that we don't like, our soul is attempting to acquire a particular vibration in that habit, that addiction, that behavior, that dysfunction. And so instead of looking at anything as good or bad, just receive the vibration, and then the soul gets to a certain frequency, and then we start craving different scenarios that bring in different vibrations that are maybe even more coherent.
Yeah. Do you think that works the same with money? It's like, okay, I'm fine with being broke, or is it different?
Yeah, I wouldn't even put a name on what it is, because you might be broke in the physical dimension, but you might be incredibly wealthy in the higher realms. And so it's more like the current financial situation that I'm in right now is, I'm moving into acceptance. I'm allowing it. I'm embracing it. I'm receiving the vibrations of what it is holding for me to receive. And then when I have this whole formula, it's part of this energetic protocol that I've developed, but you're essentially acknowledging that we have this energy self, and I call that the higher self. People could call it their energy selves. Kids call it their super selves. And so when we ask that energy self, and also our body's energy self and our team's energy self, to open to receive the vibrations of the current financial situation scenario, and then start moving it into greater flow, greater abundance, greater vitality, greater service, then it starts to change. And so we're receiving it, we're opening to receive whatever that vibration is at the level of the higher self where we can. And then the higher self starts to activate this greater wisdom and bring in different scenarios, situations, and solutions.
Yeah, so very true. So very true. Yeah.
Tom, sorry, Tom. I was going to say, do you think it's a good time to bring in one of her songs?
Yeah. So we're going to share some of the meditations that Aleya's done here. We'll sprinkle a few of them through the next couple of hours here. And let's go ahead and start at the top. And Aleya, we're going to play Awaken here. And anything you would like to say about this before we roll it out?
Yeah, Awaken was actually a really sweet song that I recorded in 2007 with Barry Goldstein, who's just an amazing musician, composer. And I went to New York and sang for 2 days. And then he took 100 hours in the next year to create this album called Awaken, and this is my favorite song on that album.
All right, here we go.
It's time to awaken to your call inside. It's time to awaken to your call inside. It's time to awaken. 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 It's time
Wow. Oh, some good stuff there. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so I, I have to share what I experienced during that is first image that came to me was that seed breaking ground.
Mm.
Yeah, the energy behind your music here is, and this is why Ramona and I talked about sharing this music on the show tonight, is that energetically, I felt some really amazing stuff on off of this music, and yeah, this was all about new growth. That's what I felt was new growth through this whole thing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. So
For for me, I have to say the first thing that came to me was someone needs to do a house remix.
A house remix.
Um, well, I see that's the problem with that word. When people hear house, all they hear is boom, boom. No,
Uh-huh.
um, there's it's hard to describe. In New York, we call it the soulful house music.
Right.
We had to like distinguish ourselves from the other types. Um, but anyway, yeah, that's the first thing it came to my mind. The next thing that came to my mind was more, it's okay.
Yeah, it's interesting because it is the very first album that I created. And and I
No,
like the
what I meant by it's okay, not that your song is okay, is that life, it's okay. You know, that feeling
Oh,
of
right.
it's
That
okay.
message. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It is okay. And also it's so interesting, when I look at the 5 albums that I've created and the evolution of that is the very first one. And there's like I just created a new song last week, and the difference between that song and this one is so potent. It's so different. It's like a different universe. And so it's really interesting to kind of see how the music has evolved as I've gone through this process and really explored my vocal capacity more, as well as combining it with the energetic awareness.
right.
Yeah, that's cool, though, that I like that. The awakening the seed, and it's okay.
Right. So, I you do these energetic forecasts, and I absolutely love those. By the way, yeah, I've in the last oh geez, probably more so in the last 2 years, my empathic ability, as far as being able to tap into that collective consciousness and just feel the kind of the energetic, put my finger on the energetic pulse of consciousness has really just it amazes me the way I'm able to sense it. But I'm just curious on what the experience is like for you when you tap into and look at the energy for certain eras.
Yeah, for a day or a month or
Right.
even a year. Um, when I take that look of the energetic weather forecast, I sort of teleport myself up to what I call my 5,000-foot perch. And I hang out on this perch with guides, angels, advisors, friends, and I just sort of observe. Like, no agenda, no attachment, no, not even information of what's happening on the planet at this time. I just go up there and I look at the light streams and the energy that's coming onto the planet. And usually it's a very clear, visual or sensation or sound or little like hologram of information. And then my greatest challenge is taking that nanosecond of insight and condensing it down into 7 minutes in a meditation and an audio meditation that will help the energy fields use this energetic weather that's coming onto the planet for our spiritual growth and evolution, but also at the same time be timeless, so that those 1,000 meditations online can be listened to, most of them anyway, at any point in time to help us move into greater degrees of connection and less reactivity, greater peace, greater love, whatever the topic might be.
So have you found that the well, I guess what kind of response are you getting on these meditations from the people that are listening to them?
The majority of people think that I've actually dropped in and recorded a meditation just for them. So I'll get these emails like, so are you doing a meditation for each one of your subscribers every single morning? And I'm like, no, actually, that would be a lot of work. And so they really, the majority of the people that do the daily cups, I would say probably 80% of the time feel like the message, the meditation that's being delivered to their email box at 1 a.m. 5 days a week really speaks to them and supports them. And I have a little chat room that's on the daily meditations page, and people can share their feedback. And usually I get a lot of feedback that's very, very positive. I actually haven't ever had any negative feedback in 5 years. So I think I'm doing something right.
Yeah, sounds like it. Yeah. Yeah, I found that. You have something, Ramon?
I was gonna say, I wanted to dive into a little bit because, that came out, and I think for so many of us, it's not okay. Life is not okay. Things are not okay. You cutting me off, it's not okay. The whole GMO and everything happening on the earth is like, it's not okay. And that was like the most, what stood out the most for me in that song. So I wanted to dive into how can people be like, it's okay. Not in the same sense as accepting, and it's like, okay, if you're going to slap me, I'm just going to sit here and it's okay. Not in that sense, but, it's life. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. Looking at everything as actually an opportunity for growth and evolution and attaining a very particular vibration inside ourselves. So anytime we get triggered, anytime we get upset, we experience the judgment, the frustration, the anger, the irritation, instead of judging ourselves of, oh, I just responded in an unevolved way, looking at it more from the place of, oh, look at this moment where I have the opportunity to really look deep within and see what's going on and what's really being asked for. And so those cups of consciousness and actually a book that I'm working on called The Cups of Consciousness share very specific concepts that help us understand why our life is the way it is and what steps we can use and take to change it. So if somebody is disrespecting me, I would go through my inner process of, and let's say I get upset about that, I would go through the inner process of, where am I asking that person to be responsible for respecting me? That's not their job. What if they don't even respect themselves? And so we would use the super self, higher self to retrieve all of that responsibility for being respected and honored and listened to off of the other individual. And then we would start respecting and honoring and listening to our own self. And then the trigger, the upset goes away. So every single time we have a trigger, even the GMOs, what is really going on and where is it that our soul is really wanting to take this opportunity to shift, grow, and evolve?
Right. I look at one thing that still is a thorn in my side because it's I see it every day, the chemtrail stuff, the fogging of our skies, and I've looked at this energetically, and I get such mixed response from it, and I think part of it is I'm tapping into the way people feel about it, and then when I look deeper into the source, I see something different that's not as malevolent as the conspiracy theorists would have it be made out to be. Have you ever looked at that yourself energetically?
At the chemtrails, yeah, I actually have. And basically, I mean, however evil we think people are and intentionally causing harm, those individuals that might be doing that do not have mastery of self-love. They also might have a lot of fear. They might be thinking that they are spraying the clouds, the people, with immune-boosting substances as opposed to toxins that challenge the immune system, whatever it might be. So if we think about it from the darkest perspective of there are horrible beings out there polluting our planet intentionally and trying to kill us, those individuals are not in a place of self-love. They're in a place of fear, greed, lack, whatever it might be, evil. And instead of being angry at them, whatever the them is, we would move into our heart and we would feel the vibration of self-love, completely and totally attached, desiring, and responsible for holding that vibration of self-love. And then we could send that information to their super selves, invite them to activate vibrations of greater self-love, not attached, not responsible for them doing it. They can if they want. It's a gentle invitation. And then we feel that vibration of self-love, self-respect, honoring our own inner being so we have the capacity to honor the planet. And that increases the vibration of our soul essence, of our body, of our energy fields, which then boosts the immune system, and we are not as challenged by these toxic vibrations that are floating down to us, if that is the perspective.
Right. You know, I get the distinct feeling myself that at least the I guess the upper management, not highest management, not the owners or the directors, but the upper management feel that they're doing this to shield us from harmful radiation, harmful energies that are bombarding the planet right now. And on one hand, yes, there's the amount of solar radiation actually getting to the planet now has definitely increased in the last couple of decades. Mm-hmm. I mean, the sun has really kicked up its game quite a bit.
We're in enlightenment, right? The sun is literally putting off more light, more heat than it did 10 years ago.
Exactly.
And that is triggering the pineal gland that's starting to secrete more light, and we're going into the enlightenment process. So the sun is actually helping us in our evolutionary process.
Yeah, and I think the ones that are willingly doing this stuff think that they're helping us by, cutting down on melanomas, I don't know. I just that, like I said, that's one of the things that's a thorn in my side, because I really enjoy my crystal blue skies. And,
sure. Well, you could also have the nature devas up high, dissolve it with vibrations of love and coherent sounds.
Which we have experienced that.
Yeah, I always employ the nature spirits to basically activate higher frequencies, and within 10 to 15 minutes, the chemtrails are gone.
Yeah.
There was actually, after Deborah was on, and this was amazing. We had Deborah on, and I think it was like two days after she was on that, I was thinking about dragons, and there were like the chemtrails, and I kind of saw this big like dragon looking cloud.
Cool.
Just going across, and everything was it was weird because it wasn't moving at normal cloud
speed. It took
speed.
2 days from Prescott to get to Japan.
There you go. It is a long flight. Oh yeah, and that's that one that absolutely fascinates me. I call them sylphs. That feels right to me. At least the ones that appear here to me. I've got some absolutely amazing photographs of stuff that I've pictured and I've taken pictures of out of the sky. Angels, and I mean, I get photogenic type faces that come through, and it just
cool.
blows me away.
How cool!
Yeah, I absolutely love it. And at the same time, while I'm seeing this, I'm feeling all the energy associated with it too. So it's quite an experience. The full Monty is quite an experience, anyways. These daily cups, how do you set your schedule as far as what you're going to be addressing in that day or in that week?
Well, actually, 15 minutes before the radio show, I dropped into a little meditation, and I recorded the meditation for tomorrow. So I really move in my day either by my schedule because I have sessions that I'm working with people, working with people over the phone, or I'll wait for the energy to pulse me or the time to pulse me, and I just drop in and record a little 10-minute meditation, 5 to 10-minute meditation. And then it takes me about an hour to edit. And so sometimes I do it literally the day before. And then other times I might see kind of like a bundle of meditations that come through maybe several days before, and we'll edit and record. And I deliver the daily meditations 5 days a week. And people can also get them, once a week just on Mondays, or they could get them Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Sometimes it's a little too much to get them 5 days a week, but I will record the new meditations Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then I will pull from my 1,000, I have 1,000 meditations online, and I'll pull from that archive for Tuesdays and Thursdays, because almost always the energetic weather, I've got enough of a little arsenal quiver now that I can kind of tune into what's happening and pull in a meditation that I've already recorded. So I actually started them in 2009, and in November 2008, I was driving from San Diego back up to Santa Barbara, and my guide said, "Aleya, do daily meditations." And I was like, "What? I should meditate more?" And they're like, No, record little 5-minute meditations and deliver them via email." And I was like, well, how brilliant is that? Because I'd be in sessions and I'd bring in these great protocols or perspectives or ways of looking at life. And then after the session, it was gone. I didn't write it down. I didn't record it. And so this was an impetus to really start getting this material out so that it could help more people in the world.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So we are nearing the top of this first hour already, and it's just another thing. I'm blown away constantly, by the way. Another thing that blows me away is that how fast time goes when you're in these types of conversations.
Indeed.
I mean, it's just like, wow, where'd the time go? I mean, we definitely slip into a different dimension at times when we are engaged like this, and time really loses its meaning.
Yeah.
So
I just want to kind of give out at least some of the points I want to talk about on the next hour. And one is definitely dolphin, the whale experience, and how you look at them as teachers. And the other one is talking about that light stream in the front of your spine.
Yeah, understanding the way energy flows in the body.
Yeah. And one last thing is timelines, being that I had that dream about timelines and traveling back and forth. And
Yeah, that's a great dream. Now look at that.
Good stuff. We'll definitely pick that stuff up in the second hour. And if you guys are listening to this on one of those other media outlets, such as the YouTubes or the Vimos or the iTunes or wherever the heck you're at, and want to check out the second hour, pop on over to www.the100thmonkeyradio.com and consider becoming a member of the 100th Monkey Radio and help support Ramon and I in all that we do. It is so greatly appreciated.
And if you tune in telepathically, the second hour is absolutely free.
Absolutely. Okay. Aleya Dao's website is aleyadao.com. That's ALEYADAO.com. And I would urge you guys to pop on over there and check out her work. And we are going to let another one of her songs, which let her tell us a little bit about it on the way out. It's In Stillness.
In Stillness is an album that I just created, and it was really designed to help people come into that very quiet, calm place inside themselves and then do a deep reconnection, gaining clarity, motivation, passion. It's like the reboot, plugging back in, and In Stillness is the setup for that experience.
Awesome. All right, guys, we're going to let this take us out of the hour, and we'll see you in the second hour. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance.
The love you deny is the pain you carry.
Namaste.